They framed me with a plate of food. They fired me for theft. And that's how they fucked themselves into a divorce, a prison sentence, and a handful of deportations. Before I go any further, drop a comment right now and tell me where are you watching from? Let me take you back to the beginning. 5 years I worked at that luxury resort in Miami. 5 years of grinding my way up from front desk nobody to the person everyone called when things went wrong. I cross-trained in everything: concierge, room service, banquet coordination, VIP experiences. You name it, I learned it. Not because I was ambitious in that corporate climber way. I just wanted stability. Enough money to pay rent in expensive as hell Miami, keep my dog fed, and have a little left over for my gaming setup. I made $12 an hour. Eventually negotiated up to $13.50 when they asked me to supervise the guest services department. Unofficially, of course. They loved having me do manager work without the manager title or pay. But I took it anyway because those extra hours meant everything. I wasn't greedy. I was practical. The hotel was beautiful. Ocean breeze would drift through the lobby every time the automatic doors opened. Marble floors so polished you could see your reflection. The smell of expensive food from our restaurant would fill the hallways. It felt like paradise. I thought I had it made: stable hours, a team that respected me, coworkers who actually gave a damn. Then corporate announced we were getting a new general manager. I did what anyone would do in 2025. I Googled him. Marcus Westfield. First result? Not some glowing LinkedIn profile. Not an article about his innovative management style. A mugshot. Domestic violence arrest from 2 years prior. The police report was public record. He'd punched his wife hard enough to break her orbital bone. And corporate hired him anyway. That should have been my first warning. But I needed the job. I needed the stability. So I showed up to his welcome meeting with everyone else and watched him give his polished speech about new beginnings and fresh perspectives. He was good. Charismatic even. He knew how to work a room. And he'd brought a friend, Kyle Patterson. Marcus installed Kyle as guest services manager within a week. Kyle had zero hotel experience. But he had one crucial qualification: complete and total loyalty to Marcus. Our best department head, Sarah, lasted exactly 9 days under Marcus's management. I remember the day she quit. She was packing up her office, throwing framed photos into a cardboard box with more force than necessary. I asked her what happened. She looked at me with this expression I'll never forget. Part pity, part warning. "I've worked with Marcus before," she said. "At a hotel in Atlanta. He's a predator and a con artist. Get out while you can." I tried to press her for details but she just shook her head. "You'll see soon enough. Expect sexual harassment. Expect him to steal credit for your work. Expect this place to burn to the ground." She handed me her badge, let it clatter onto the desk, and walked out. I should have followed her. Within 2 weeks, everything Sarah predicted started coming true. Marcus began systematically replacing every single manager with people from his past. People he'd worked with before. People who owed him favors or feared him too much to question anything. He created this insular little empire of yes-men and sycophants. The only original manager who survived was the kitchen manager from some other property, but even he bent whichever way the wind blew. Then the real hell started. Marcus and Kyle began slashing our hours. Guest services was already understaffed, but they started sending people home early. You'd have 4 people scheduled for a massive VIP event, a wedding reception for 200 guests, maybe, or a corporate retreat, and Kyle would send 3 people home. Leave 1 person to handle everything alone. Setup, service, cleanup. It was impossible. Physically impossible to meet health and safety standards, keep guests happy, and finish before midnight. My team started coming to me with complaints. I was still the unofficial supervisor. They trusted me. They'd worked with me for years. "You said they'd stop cutting us," one girl told me, nearly in tears after working a 16-hour shift alone. "We can't keep doing this." I felt caught between 2 impossible positions. My team needed me to fight for them. But pushing back against Marcus and Kyle felt like painting a target on my back. Still, staying silent felt like betrayal. These were good people. They deserved better. So I made a choice. I decided to speak up. Corporate called a department meeting about 3 months into Marcus's reign. The stated agenda was efficiency improvements and budget concerns. But everyone knew what it really was. A pressure valve. A chance for corporate to pretend they cared about employee satisfaction before ramming through whatever cost-cutting measures they'd already decided on. The meeting was held in one of our conference rooms. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Marcus and Kyle sitting at the head of the table with these thin, professional smiles. A corporate representative joined via Zoom, her face pixelated and distant on the monitor. My entire team was there. Housekeepers, bellhops, concierge staff, room service coordinators. Everyone. The corporate rep opened with some bullshit about doing more with less and maximizing productivity. Then she made a mistake. She asked for feedback. My team erupted. One by one they detailed the impossible workloads. The broken promises about hours. The safety violations. The sheer physical and mental exhaustion of trying to run a luxury resort with skeleton crews. They were respectful but firm. These weren't complaints. These were facts. Documented, undeniable facts about how Marcus and Kyle were running our department into the ground. The corporate rep looked uncomfortable. She clearly hadn't expected this level of organized pushback. She glanced at Marcus, who maintained that smooth, unflappable expression. Then she asked a question that changed everything. Given these concerns, she said, who would you recommend to officially manage this department? The response was immediate and unanimous. Give it to him, someone said, pointing at me. He's been running it smoothly for months anyway. Others chimed in. He knows everyone's schedules. He understands the work. He actually listens to us. He'd be perfect. I felt this weird mix of pride and absolute dread. Because the moment those words left their mouths, I saw it. Marcus and Kyle exchanged a look. It was quick. Maybe half a second. But I caught it. This silent, cold, calculating glance between them. The kind of look you give someone when you're making a decision about their future. When you're planning something. I've seen that look before. That's the look you give someone you're planning to eliminate. Marcus recovered quickly. That professional smile never wavered. We'll certainly take that suggestion under advisement, he said smoothly. Thank you all for your input. Very valuable feedback. But I knew. I walked out of that meeting knowing I'd just signed my own termination papers. I didn't know how they'd do it. I didn't know when. I just knew they would. And I was right. 2 weeks of walking on eggshells. 2 weeks of showing up early, working late, documenting every single task I completed. I gave them absolutely no legitimate reason to fire me. I was a model employee. Perfect attendance. Stellar performance reviews from before Marcus arrived. Glowing feedback from guests and coworkers alike. But I could feel the target on my back. Every time Marcus or Kyle walked past, I tensed up. Every time I got called to the office, my heart rate spiked. I was waiting for the axe to fall. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I always arrived an hour early. Not because I was some kiss-ass trying to impress management. It was purely financial. Food in Miami was expensive as hell, especially near the beach. But at the hotel, employees got free meals. Unlimited soup, bread, and basic dishes from the employee cafeteria. So I'd come in early, eat my breakfast, save $15 or $20 a day. Over time that added up. That morning I was in the break room, planning to grab my usual bowl of soup, when one of the kitchen workers approached me. His name was Steve. Young guy, early 20s maybe. Quiet. Kept to himself mostly. We'd exchanged maybe 10 words total in the 5 years I'd worked there. Hey, he said, holding a plate covered with a silver dome. You want this? I looked at the plate. What is it? Room service cancellation. Guest ordered it then checked out early. Kyle already comped it out of the system. Gonna go to waste otherwise. He lifted the dome. Garlic butter shrimp over linguine. My favorite dish from our upscale restaurant menu. The one I'd ordered exactly once for my birthday because it cost $42. You sure? I asked. Yeah man, it's all good. Already written off. You want it or should I toss it? I should have known. Free food from a kitchen worker I barely knew? A $40 dish just conveniently available? But I was tired. Hungry. And it was my favorite meal. I took it. I sat down in the break room, the steam rising from the plate filling the air with that rich, buttery smell. I took 3 bites. The shrimp was perfectly cooked. The pasta was al dente. For a brief moment, I forgot about the target on my back and just enjoyed the food. Then Marcus and Kyle appeared in the doorway. Kyle was holding his tablet. The screen showed security camera footage. Even from across the room, I could see myself taking the plate from Steve. Did you put in a ticket for that food? Marcus asked. His voice was calm. Professional. The tone you use when you've already made a decision and you're just going through the motions. My stomach dropped. Steve gave it to me, I said. He said it was a cancelled room service order that you already comped. Kyle's expression shifted to this perfect imitation of confusion. I never comped anything. I have no idea what you're talking about. I stood up. Steve just told me, he said you approved it. Let's go ask him right now. He's in the kitchen. Marcus and Kyle exchanged another glance. Then Marcus nodded. Fine. Let's clear this up. We walked to the kitchen together. I was already running through the conversation in my head. Steve would confirm everything. He'd tell them exactly what he told me. This was just a misunderstanding. A miscommunication. We pushed through the double doors into the kitchen. The morning prep crew was already working, chopping vegetables, prepping sauces, firing up grills. The smell of bacon and coffee filled the air. "Where's Steve?" I asked one of the line cooks. He glanced at the clock. "He left like 10 minutes ago. Clocked out early. Said he wasn't feeling well." My blood went cold. The timing was too perfect. Steve gives me the food. Disappears immediately. Marcus and Kyle show up with security footage already pulled up. All within a 15-minute window. I'd been set up. Marcus turned to me with this expression of manufactured disappointment. "Well, looks like we can't verify your story." "This is bullshit," I said. "You know this is bullshit. Steve will confirm everything when he comes back tomorrow." "That's theft," Marcus said, ignoring me completely. "We have a zero-tolerance policy for employee theft. You've been here long enough to know that." "I didn't steal anything. Steve said you comped it. This is a setup." Kyle shook his head slowly, like he was dealing with a child having a tantrum. "Nobody set you up. You took food without authorization. That's theft. Pretty cut and dry." I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip the fucking table. 5 years of perfect service, and they were ending it over a plate of shrimp I'd been deliberately given as bait. But I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table. Because I knew that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted me to lose my shit so they could add violent outburst to the termination paperwork. Instead, I took a breath. "Fine," I said quietly. "What now?" Marcus gestured toward the exit. "Finish your meal if you want. Then gather your things and leave. That's the last food you'll be eating here." Just like that. 5 years gone. I walked back to the break room in a daze. My coworkers had scattered, probably warned by someone that management was on the warpath. I mechanically finished the shrimp, I wasn't about to waste it now, and then headed to my locker to grab my belongings. As I walked toward the payroll office to collect any tips that might be waiting for me, something shifted in my chest. Anger, yes. But also this cold, calculated awareness. These fuckers had planned this. Every detail orchestrated. And I'd walked right into it. 5 years in the hotel industry had taught me one crucial lesson: always cover your ass. I pulled out my phone as I approached the payroll office. Opened the voice memo app. Hit record. Then I slid the phone into my blazer pocket, audio still running. I stood outside the closed payroll door for a moment, pretending to check my watch. And I heard them. Marcus and Kyle's voices, muffled through the door but clear enough. "Finally got rid of him," Marcus was saying. "Been planning this since that goddamn meeting." "Should have done it sooner," Kyle replied. "Kid was too smart for his own good. Asking too many questions." Steve played his part perfectly. Didn't even hesitate. My hand clenched around my phone. Every word was being recorded in crystal clear audio. I knocked on the door. The conversation stopped immediately. Silence. Then Kyle's voice, "Come in." I opened the door. Both of them were standing by the safe where employee tips were stored. Their expressions were neutral, professional. Like they hadn't just been celebrating my destruction 30 seconds earlier. "Just here to collect my tips," I said evenly. Kyle opened the safe and counted out the cash. $63. He handed it to me. I took it and tucked it into my wallet. Then I did something that would haunt them later. I extended my hand to Marcus. "Thank you for the opportunity to work here," I said. "I appreciate everything I learned." Marcus looked momentarily surprised. But he shook my hand. Kyle did the same. I gave them my best professional smile and walked out. But I wasn't done. On my way out of the hotel, I stopped in the lobby. Pulled out my phone and took a photo of the main entrance. The hotel's name and logo were clearly visible. Gold letters on white marble, Oceana Grand Resort and Spa. Time stamp. GPS coordinates. Proof of where that recording was made. 5 years in hotels taught me to always cover my ass. I didn't know exactly how I'd use that recording yet. But something deep in my gut told me I'd need it. I walked out those doors for the last time, got on the bus, and headed home. On the ride, I pulled out my phone and posted on LinkedIn, just separated from my position at Oceana Grand. Seeking new opportunities in hospitality or operations management. Available immediately. By the time I got off the bus at my stop, my phone was buzzing. 2 interview requests already. One of them was for that same afternoon. The interview was at a luxury cruise line company's Miami office. Corporate operations. The position was for a supply chain analyst, coordinating logistics between ports, managing inventory, optimizing shipping routes. Better pay than the hotel. Better hours. And zero customer interaction. I'd be working with spreadsheets and supply chains instead of entitled tourists demanding extra towels. The hiring manager's name was Richard Nguyen. Mid-40s, Vietnamese-American, warm smile. We sat in his office overlooking the Miami harbor. He had my resume in front of him. I appreciate you coming in on short notice, he said. Your background looks great. 5 years at Oceana Grande is impressive. That's a tough place to work. I nodded. It had its challenges. Richard glanced at his computer screen. I actually called over there this morning. Spoke with the general manager, Marcus Westfield. My heart started pounding. Oh yeah? He said you were terminated for theft. There it was. The poison pill Marcus planted to destroy any chance I had of moving forward. I had a choice. Lie and hope Richard never verified the details. Or tell the truth and risk everything. Comment below right now, what would you do? Lie to save your reputation? Or tell the truth and hope for the best? I took a breath. I have proof it wasn't true, I said. Would you like to hear it? Richard leaned back in his chair, curious. I'm listening. I pulled out my phone. Found the voice memo. 2 minutes and 43 seconds. I hit play and set the phone on his desk. Marcus's voice filled the office. Finally got rid of him. Been planning this since that goddamn meeting. Kyle's response. Should have done it sooner. Kid was too smart for his own good. Steve played his part perfectly. Then the sound of me knocking. The conversation cutting off abruptly. My voice, just here to collect my tips. The pleasantries. The handshake. Thank you for the opportunity. Then silence. Richard stared at the phone for a long moment. Then he looked at me. Send me this recording. Right now. Why? I asked. Because my husband is a labor rights attorney. And what they did to you? That's federally actionable. That's conspiracy. That's wrongful termination. That's constructive fraud. He hired me on the spot. 30% pay raise. Better benefits. Start date the following Monday. Before I left his office, he asked me to email him the recording. What are you going to do with it? I asked. Just send it, he said. Trust me. I sent it and walked out of there feeling like I'd just won the lottery. New job. Better pay. Clean slate. I thought that was the end of my Oceana Grande nightmare. I had no fucking clue what I'd just set in motion. Richard showed the recording to his husband James that night. James was a labor rights attorney specializing in employment discrimination and workplace retaliation. He listened to the recording once. Then a second time. Then he spent 2 hours drafting a detailed letter to 2 parties, the Department of Labor and Oceana Grande's corporate legal compliance team. He didn't threaten a lawsuit. He didn't demand money. He simply outlined the facts. Attached the recording. And explained the potential liability Oceana Grande was facing if this went to court. Conspiracy to terminate. Retaliation for employee advocacy. Constructive fraud. The works. He sent those letters on a Wednesday evening. By Friday morning, corporate had dispatched their compliance officer. Her name was Patricia Morgan. 20-year veteran of corporate fraud investigation. She'd worked her way up from hotel housekeeping to regional compliance director. She'd seen every scam, every scheme, every corner-cutting operation. And she didn't fuck around. Patricia showed up at Oceana Grande unannounced at 8 a.m. on Friday. Walked straight into Marcus's office and informed him she'd be conducting interviews regarding my termination. Marcus, confident and smooth as ever, assured her it was all a misunderstanding. Offered her coffee. Made small talk. But Marcus had made a critical error in the days since my firing. He'd tried to cover his tracks by bribing my old team. He'd pulled each of them aside individually and offered small raises, 50 cents an hour, maybe $1. Not enough to be suspicious to corporate. Just enough to buy their silence. He told them that if anyone from corporate came asking questions, they should say I was incompetent. Unreliable. A poor performer who couldn't handle the job. Most of them took the money. They needed it. I don't blame them. But Patricia Morgan wasn't stupid. She started conducting one-on-one interviews in the conference room. Closed door. Confidential. She interviewed people separately so they couldn't coordinate their stories. Standard investigation protocol. The first interview was with Maria, one of the room service coordinators. Maria had worked with me for 3 years. Patricia asked her about my performance. My reliability. My relationship with management. Maria was nervous. She gave the script Marcus had fed her. He was okay. Sometimes unreliable. Struggled with time management. Patricia made notes. Thanked Maria for her time. Called in the next person. Same questions. Similar answers. Marcus's bribe was working. Then Patricia interviewed 3 people who hadn't taken Marcus's money. 2 housekeepers and a bellhop. All three had been at that department meeting where my team had unanimously recommended me for the manager position. All three had watched Marcus and Kyle's silent exchange. That look. And all three had reached their breaking point. The first one, a housekeeper named Diana, sat down across from Patricia and said 7 words that changed everything. I need to tell you the truth. Then she quit. Right there. On the spot. Stood up, took off her employee badge, set it on the table, and said, I can't work for these people anymore. Patricia blinked. Wait. What truth? Diana told her everything. The frame-up with Steve. The conspiracy. How everyone knew it was bullshit but were too afraid to speak up. How Marcus and Kyle had bribed people to lie. How Kyle was sleeping with Rebecca, the woman they'd installed as my replacement supervisor. Before Diana even finished, the bellhop, a guy named Carlos, knocked on the conference room door. He'd heard Diana quit. He did the same. Turned in his badge. Spilled everything he knew. Then the second housekeeper. Same thing. 3 people quitting during a corporate investigation is a red flag. 3 people quitting specifically to rat out management? That's a smoking gun. Patricia spent the rest of Friday interviewing people. By the end of the day, she had a clear picture. This wasn't just about my wrongful termination. This was about a toxic, corrupt management structure that had been running unchecked for months. She made a decision. She separated Marcus and Kyle. Transferred Kyle to another Oceana property across town. Temporarily demoted Marcus from general manager to operations manager. Her thinking was this would contain the situation while she completed her investigation. What she didn't anticipate was that separating them would make them turn on each other. The following Tuesday, Oceana Grand's marketing team made a post on the hotel's Facebook page. Some promotional photo shoot for an upcoming event. The photos featured staff from multiple properties. One of the photos included Kyle. Smiling in his new hotel's uniform. Marcus saw the post. He was bitter. Angry. Humiliated by his demotion. And he couldn't resist. He left a comment on the public post, interesting seeing Kyle featured in this when he was transferred for misconduct. It was passive-aggressive. Petty. And visible to everyone who followed the Oceana Grand Facebook page. Kyle saw it within minutes. His response? Better than being the first Google result for beating your wife. Holy shit. Marcus fired back, funny coming from the guy cheating on his wife with Rebecca's cousin. Kyle's reply, at least I'm not the one propositioning every bartender for sugar daddy arrangements. This was happening on a public Facebook page. The hotel's official business page. Employees were screenshotting the comments in real time. Sharing them in group chats. Watching 2 managers nuke each other in broad daylight. The post was deleted within 20 minutes. But screenshots are forever. Those screenshots were on Patricia's desk within an hour. She stared at them for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and started making calls. First, she called every female employee at Oceana Grand. Servers. Bartenders. Housekeepers. Front desk staff. She interviewed them separately. Confidentially. Same question to all of them, has Marcus Westfield ever made inappropriate advances toward you? 12 women said yes. 12 separate incidents of Marcus offering to be their sugar daddy if they'd send him nude photos or meet him after hours. Some of them had screenshots. Text messages. Explicit propositions. Patricia documented everything. Then she kept digging. Because Kyle's comment about Rebecca's cousin had been oddly specific. She pulled Rebecca into an interview. Rebecca was the woman Marcus and Kyle had installed as my replacement, the official supervisor of guest services after I was fired. Tell me about your relationship with Kyle Patterson, Patricia said. Rebecca broke almost immediately. She'd been sleeping with Kyle for 2 months. Kyle was married. Rebecca wasn't. But Rebecca's cousin, a woman named Jennifer who also worked at the hotel, had found out and was threatening to tell Kyle's wife. The affair wasn't illegal. But it was another piece of evidence showing how corrupt and unprofessional Marcus and Kyle's management had become. Patricia was building a case. Wrongful termination. Sexual harassment. Workplace affairs creating hostile environments. But she still didn't have the smoking gun she needed to justify mass terminations. Then she interviewed Steve. Steve was the kitchen worker who'd given me the food. The bait in Marcus and Kyle's trap. Patricia had him on her list because his name kept coming up in other interviews. Steve came into the conference room looking nervous. Sweating. Avoiding eye contact. Patricia had his employee file in front of her. Florida driver's license. Social security number. Tax documents. Everything seemed normal on paper. But Patricia had been doing this for 20 years. She could smell when something was off. Steve, she said gently, how long have you been in the United States? His eyes widened. I was born here. Really? Because your accent suggests otherwise. Steve shifted in his chair. I mean, my parents are from Guatemala. But I was born in Miami. Patricia opened his file. Your social security number. When was it issued? I don't know. When I was born. Social security numbers issued to newborns follow a specific pattern. Yours doesn't match that pattern. It matches the pattern of adult applicants. She looked at him directly. Steve, are you working under your real identity? Steve's hands started shaking. He looked at the door like he was considering running. Steve, Patricia said quietly, I'm not ICE. I'm not going to call them right now. But I need you to tell me the truth. Because I think someone took advantage of you. And if that's true, I can help you. Steve broke. He wasn't documented. He'd entered the country illegally 6 years ago. Came to Miami looking for work. Kyle had hired him at another Oceana property under the table at first. Paid him cash. Below minimum wage. Then Kyle had offered him a deal. For $3,000, Kyle could get him a real Social Security card and Florida ID. Steve could work legally. Get real paychecks. Rent an apartment. Steve borrowed money from family and paid Kyle. 2 weeks later, Kyle handed him a Social Security card and driver's license with Steve's photo but a fake identity. Did Kyle do this for anyone else? Patricia asked. Steve nodded. He named 11 other workers. All kitchen or housekeeping staff. All undocumented. All sold fake documents by Kyle. Patricia closed her notebook. Steve, I need you to write down every name you remember. Everyone Kyle did this for. Am I going to be deported? I don't know, Patricia said honestly. But if you cooperate fully, I'll do everything I can to help you. If you don't, this is going to get much worse. Steve wrote down 14 names. Patricia looked at the list. Then she picked up her phone and made 2 calls. One to the FBI. One to ICE. Because what started as a wrongful termination investigation had just become a federal case involving identity fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy, and immigration violations. The raids happened the following Monday at 6 a.m. FBI and ICE agents hit 3 Oceana properties simultaneously. Coordinated down to the minute. They arrested Kyle at work while he was doing morning prep in the kitchen. Handcuffs. Miranda rights. The whole thing. Charges included conspiracy to commit identity fraud, wire fraud, and wage theft. The FBI had worked over the weekend building the case. They'd interviewed the 14 people Steve named. 9 of them confirmed everything. Showed their fake documents. Detailed how much they'd paid Kyle. Those 9 were detained by ICE for deportation proceedings. Steve, because he'd cooperated immediately and provided names, was offered a deal. Temporary protected status while he testified against Kyle. A chance to stay legally. Kyle was taken to federal detention. No bail. Flight risk. Marcus was fired that same morning. Patricia personally escorted him out of the building. He tried to argue. Tried to threaten legal action. But Patricia had 12 sexual harassment complaints documented. She had the recording of him and Kyle admitting to framing me. She had evidence of the bribery scheme with my former team. He was done. But Patricia wasn't finished with him yet. She picked up her phone and called another number. A personal call, not a professional one. The person who answered was Marcus's wife. Her name was Jennifer Westfield. She was the general manager of another Oceana property in Fort Lauderdale. Patricia had personally hired Jennifer 5 years earlier. Knew her well. Respected her. Jennifer, Patricia said, I need to tell you something about your husband. And I'm sorry. She told Jennifer everything. The 12 women Marcus had propositioned. The screenshots of his text messages. The Facebook fight where Kyle had referenced Marcus's domestic violence arrest. Jennifer was silent for a long time. Then she said, I gave him a second chance after he hit me. I told him if he ever did anything like that again, we were done. I'm sorry, Patricia said. Don't be. Thank you for telling me. Jennifer filed for divorce that week. 8 managers were fired or transferred in the aftermath. The entire guest services department was restructured. Corporate implemented new whistleblower protection policies. Mandatory harassment training. Background checks were tightened. 12 women who'd been harassed by Marcus received settlement payments. Amounts were confidential, but I heard later they ranged from $15,000 to $40,000 each. And me? I had no idea any of this was happening. I'd started my new job at the cruise line company. I was thriving. Better pay. Better hours. Better boss. I'd moved on completely. Changed my phone number. Stopped checking my old email. As far as I was concerned, Oceana Grand was a closed chapter. 8 months passed. Then one morning, I got an email at my new job. Company-wide announcement welcoming new hires. There was a photo attached. Group shot of 5 new employees. One of them was Daniel. Former coworker from Oceana Grande. We'd worked the front desk together for 2 years. Good guy. Funny. Reliable. I got up from my desk and went looking for him. Found him in the break room getting coffee. Daniel. I said, genuinely happy to see him. What are you doing here? He turned around. Saw me. His expression went from surprise to something else. Something complicated. Dude, he said. You don't know? Know what? He looked around the break room. We were alone. We need to talk. Lunch. Right now. We went to a cafe down the street. Daniel ordered a sandwich he barely touched. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling. Okay, he said, I don't even know where to start. How much do you know about what happened after you left? Nothing. I changed my number and never looked back. Why? He showed me his phone. A news article from 4 months prior. Headline, Miami hotel manager arrested in multi-year identity fraud scheme. Kyle's mugshot stared back at me from the screen. Holy shit, I whispered. Daniel started explaining. The investigation. Patricia. The raids. The FBI. Kyle's arrest. Marcus's firing. The sexual harassment settlements. The deportations. Wait, I said. Deportations? 9 people. Kitchen and housekeeping staff. All working on fake documents Kyle sold them. I felt sick. Jesus Christ. Steve cooperated. He's got temporary protected status now. Working legally at a restaurant in Coral Gables. But the other 9, yeah. Daniel scrolled through more screenshots. The Facebook fight between Marcus and Kyle. The comment thread where they destroyed each other publicly. Posts from former employees celebrating Marcus's firing. Corporate tried to reach you, Daniel said. Like, dozens of times. They wanted you to come in and give a statement. They wanted to settle your wrongful termination claim. I never got anything. Because you changed your number and ditched your old email. He pulled up another screenshot. They settled anyway. In absentia. He showed me an email. Sent to my old address. From Oceana Grande's legal department. Settlement offer for wrongful termination. $25,000 plus expunged employment record. Legal fees covered. They paid you and you didn't even know, Daniel said. I pulled out my phone. Logged into my old email for the first time in 8 months. The inbox was flooded. 23 unread messages from Oceana Grande's legal team. Settlement offers. Interview requests. Updates on the investigation. I checked my bank account. Scrolled back 5 months. There it was. A deposit for $25,000 from Oceana Grande Corporate. I'd gotten justice, payment, and closure without even participating. The recording did all the work, I said quietly. What recording? Daniel asked. I told him everything. The voice memo I'd made outside the payroll office. Showing it to Richard during my interview. Richard's husband forwarding it to corporate and the Department of Labor. Daniel stared at me. You accidentally started a nuclear bomb. I just wanted proof I didn't steal food. You got proof. And accidentally took down a sex predator, a document forger, exposed a fraud ring, and got 9 people deported. We sat in silence for a while. The weight of it settling over me. Do you feel guilty? Daniel asked. About the deportations? I thought about it. It's complicated, I said finally. I didn't report Kyle's scheme. I didn't even know about it. But my recording opened the door. So yeah, I feel something. Not guilt exactly. More like awareness of unintended consequences. Steve told me Kyle was a predator, Daniel said. Charged those workers $3,000 each for fake documents. Paid them below minimum wage and pocketed the difference. Made over $200,000 over 6 years. They were victims too. I know. But they still got deported. And Kyle got 6 years federal prison. Marcus lost his job and his marriage. 12 women got justice for harassment. You got $25,000 and a better job. Sometimes justice is messy. He wasn't wrong. Daniel showed me one final thing. Kyle's sentencing article. The judge had come down hard. 6 years in federal prison. $200,000 in restitution and fines. Permanent record. His wife had divorced him before the trial even started. Marcus hadn't been charged criminally, but his life was destroyed anyway. Unemployable in hospitality. Second divorce. His name forever linked to that mugshot and the sexual harassment allegations. I stared at my phone. At the voice memo still saved in my files. 2 minutes and 43 seconds. That's all it took to bring down an empire. Would you do it again? Daniel asked. Record that conversation? Absolutely. Even knowing what would happen? I thought about the 9 deportations. The disrupted lives. The collateral damage. Then I thought about the 12 women who'd been harassed. The corrupt managers who'd been stopped. The justice that had been served. Yeah, I said. I would. Because they framed me. They destroyed my livelihood over a plate of fucking shrimp. And the truth destroyed them. Daniel nodded slowly. The hotel industry has one rule you taught me. Always cover your ass. I did. And it turned out my ass was covering a whole lot more than I realized. We finished lunch. Went back to work. Life moved on. But sometimes I still think about that voice memo. About the chain reaction it started. About how one decision to hit record changed dozens of lives. People ask me if I planned it. If I wanted revenge. The honest answer? No. I just wanted proof. Evidence that I hadn't stolen anything. Protection in case it came up in future job interviews. I never sent that recording to corporate. I sent it to Richard to explain my termination. He showed it to his husband. His husband forwarded it to the authorities. They did the rest. I was just trying to cover my ass. The nuclear explosion that followed? That was all them. Marcus and Kyle built their empire on lies, exploitation, and abuse. They framed me because I was a threat to that empire. And in trying to destroy me, they handed me the evidence that destroyed them. The recording was the truth. And the truth, it turns out, is a weapon. Kyle's in federal prison right now. Marcus is somewhere, unemployed and unemployable, dealing with his second divorce. The 9 workers who got deported are probably back in their home countries, starting over. Steve's working legally in Coral Gables, building a real life. And me? I'm thriving. Better job. Better pay. Better life. With $25,000 in the bank I didn't even know I had. Sometimes justice is messy. Sometimes doing the right thing has consequences you never intended. But I sleep fine at night. Because when they came for me with lies, I defended myself with truth. And truth always wins eventually. If you made it this far, do me a favor. Like this video if you believe in documentation. Subscribe for more workplace justice stories. And comment below, have you ever recorded a conversation that saved you? What happened? Thanks for watching.